What I did not understand, I guess, is where my actual cheekbone was and where to place the contour. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm walking you through all the makeup techniques I wish I had known when I first fell in love with the world of just beauty and makeup. These are just little things that make such a big difference, for me at least, especially heading into my mature skin era. And I really get upset when people decide to gatekeep. So whether you're just starting out or rediscovering your glam routine, I hope you find something here that just clicks for you. So let's start with brows, because structure is everything. So here's the brow mapping, I guess, technique that changed my brow game. Basically, what you want to do is from the nostril, depending on how far in you like your eyebrows, I do like my eyebrows maybe abnormally not touching each other, obviously not a unibrow, but I do love a brow that is a little further or past my tear duct. I lay my pencil basically on the outer part of my nostril, and that'll be where my brow starts. Then from there, the same position, all I do is go diagonally to the right, and right where my pupil is, a little past my pupil for me. I mean, like, instead of going right in the center of my pupil, I'm just veering it off a little bit to the right. That's where my arch will be. And basically from the nostril to the outer corner of your eye, which is right here for me, that's where the brow should end. I will lightly first connect the dots, and then I will fill it in, first starting at the arch, where I want the darkest part of my eyebrow to be and where I want the most structure. So you see, starting to see something there, right? What I do is then I feather inward with super light strokes, almost like I'm mimicking hair, right? So see how I'm like very lightly bringing it in. Victoria Beckham Beauty. I'll link everything in my shop LTK and in the description box below. Let's talk about lash curling. I basically just used to clamp at the base and go. But here's what I do now, if you can see this. Now I scrunch, slowly scrunch, not just clamp and hold it there. Basically you want to do 3 soft squeezes from the base, there's one, from the center of your lash, and then from the very tip. Do you see how curly my 3 lashes are? Like, quite literally. I have now figured out a way to put mascara on and to get it from the root. You can't really get it from the root if you stroke the lashes like this with the wand. But what you can do, and also what's great for people who have maybe a shaky hand, sometimes I do, I will rest my pinky finger on my chin. I'll get a mirror like this, a magnifying mirror, put it right under my nose, and I can really get in there with the wand of mascara. Can't talk, hold on. And really the goal with mascara is to just make sure you get every lash coated with the product. Then I would go in and maybe comb through it. However, I also like to layer my mascara as I continue on with my makeup process, so it gives length, and so that I have the option of either wearing fake lashes or not, depending on where I'm going and what I feel like doing. So let's talk foundation. Foundation, I've honestly tried brushes, I've tried sponges, I've tried all the tools that you can possibly imagine, okay? But I always come back to using my fingers. So this is what I do. I'm going to, actually for the first time, try Fenty Beauty's foundation, 235 and 240. I'm mixing the two on a palette. Especially when you have time, like I would suggest doing this. Obviously, if you're on the go and you don't really necessarily have an hour to put your makeup on, I get it. I dot the product around my T-zone first, using my ring finger. I go to my forehead. My nose, since I have been slowly, I think, changing into more of mature skin, hasn't been taking foundation great, to be quite honest. So if you guys know of any tricks, please comment below and let me know, because I literally put layers and layers of even concealer it doesn't take. So from here, after I apply this, let's not forget the neck as well. But after I just do the first layer, it's better to layer as well than light, thin layers than it is to cake it on. You can always add more, it's just really hard to take product off. Then from here, I will just blend, but not like that. I will tap it in. And another thing that I learned recently was when applying foundation with your fingers, think of putting the product into your skin instead of just on your skin. I think that mindset changes the way I apply foundation. My rule lately with concealer is if I don't need it, I don't use it. This is one of the best, I would say, creamed concealer, very hydrating if you lean towards the drier side. If I basically have gotten good sleep and my foundation has enough coverage, similar to what I just said about Fenty's foundation, I literally just skip it. But I just want to show you, I'm actually using this more for the hydration right now than anything. But I go in again with my finger, a little tiny amount. RMS Beauty, if you're not familiar with it, it's all natural as far as how they make their products. Another product that I've used for many years that I've actually ended up putting on the back burner because of all these new products that I have been curious about, YSL Touche Eclat, is that in a bottle. It's a highlighter and concealer in a bottle. Instead of putting it all underneath my eye, I will put it right in the corner. And I do it again right here at that crevice, like that little dip that happens on all of our faces, I would assume. And then I will highlight just the outer corner, just a little bit around my nostril and down the fold that happens there. But I'm barely putting any product on. You see that? That's hardly any. And I think what's important too is to wipe off the product, even though I haven't been very good at it just now because I'm just trying to show you this, but anything you put with your fingers, it's so important to like grab some wet ones and just clean it off and do it again, because what you don't want is product to be built up on your finger, especially if you're using the same finger for most of your application. You have to clean it quite often. Something else that I learned the hard way, bronzer, this is a bronzer, this is not contour. Bronzer basically adds warmth, and contour is more of like a cooler tone, create shadow. What I did not understand, I guess, is where my actual cheekbone was and where to place the contour. So this is a trick that I recently learned. If you put your index finger just like lightly on the corner of the outer corner of your eye and make your finger go up towards your temple, and then you roll your index finger down onto its fingerprint, that's the top of your cheekbone. And then if you go down over the hump, or like where your nostril, that same plane is, that is the placement of the cooler shade, the contour, that's where that should go. So right on top of that, not underneath your cheekbone, but at the top of the bottom part of your cheekbone. Because I'm wearing orange and because of my eyeshadow that I'm about to put on, I don't necessarily want to create too much shadow, but I do want to create more of a bronzy look, especially with the base and foundation I used. So what I'm going to do is, I've done my cheeks, I did my jaw, I haven't done my forehead yet. So this is LYS. I love all of their cream sticks, from their foundation to even their blushes are great. So yeah, that was the main lesson in that segment, is the fact that contour and bronzer are two separate things. For liquid blush, this is Armani Luminous Silk Cheek Tint. Placement is key, and I prefer applying it on the high point of the cheekbone. Highlighter goes there as well, but I believe it's a good mix, the two. I place 3 dots right here, not at the highest point, but at the high point. And I blend by using a smaller angled brush. This is Makeup by Mario's brush in F4. And I blend by tapping it in to the skin rather than swiping it back and forth. And I like when my blush actually goes up towards the temples as well. Before applying the blush, especially liquid blush, you want to see how pigmented it is. And most of the time, I always find that the pigment gets a little much. So to test it out on the back of your hand, just to see what it's like and to avoid overdoing it is very important. Powder blush. This is YSL 93, Make Me Blush. This is definitely pigmented, so it's important to tap it. You can do it even here, it's fine. To place it on top of where you applied the liquid blush. So you see how there's like a harsh line right there of the blush, and there's like a gap, right, where I put the concealer earlier. I like to then go in with my final round of that YSL Touche Eclat, and I like to just go from the outer corner of the eye and just make a few dots towards the temple, and then to use that same brush to tap it in so that there isn't a harsh line between your concealer and the blush that you just applied. You don't need a lot of product with anything, really, actually. See, look how beautiful that is. It's perfect for just a seamless finish. Powder can be your best friend or honestly your worst enemy, believe me. Less powder equals better finish. I know this is not necessarily a powder brush. I mean, what are brushes? Honestly, use whatever works for you. But what I like to do is I like to just swipe it and get as much powder on it as possible. I already have some powder on, so I'm gonna just powder like my neck right now because I don't want it to be too cakey. Warm up the product in the palm of your hand and really take off excess powder because we don't want too much powder. Now, teenagers and 20-year-olds definitely can do it. If you're a woman in her 40s, I just highly suggest not using a powder puff. It just creates cakiness. The less powder, the better. And you want to focus on the T-zone, right? You still want to have a shine. So I wouldn't go here, but I definitely would focus just on the T-zone so you're not so shiny. Powder bronzer, I like to think of it as a shape of a 3, or in this case, the opposite side, backwards 3. Basically, you're just applying it where you applied your creamed bronzer. Since I already put foundation onto my eyelids, I don't need an eye primer, but I have to say I've tried almost, I think, a lot of the eye primers on the market. The only thing that doesn't peel that actually works, for me at least, is Rare Beauty's Universal. They only have one shade, and I'm pretty sure they made it so that anybody can use it, no matter what complexion you have. Just make sure once you use primer, you have to powder again. So that's the reason why I'm not gonna do it right now, because I feel like I already have enough layers on my eyelids. However, the reason why we use this, which I never understood either, is so that we can start with an even blank canvas when we start to get into eyeshadows. I like to, as my first layer of eyeshadow, I like to use the powder bronzer just in the crease area. Doesn't have to be so exact though, to be honest. This is quite a thick shadow brush, but I like to definitely bring it out towards the temple. My favorite part is bringing it down the nose, just to continue contouring it lightly. But don't start with the nose. Start with the eyelid first and then just the residue. So what takes the longest is literally creating this foundation, because without it, what are you creating? I don't believe in doing your brows last, for example. Like, this sets the tone, sets the structure of the face. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my eyeshadow and eyeliner on one eye, nothing on the other eye, because I wanted to show you, as I've aged, as we all do, like fine wine, instead of using black eyeliner, I have a very dark brown, specifically Makeup by Mario's Perfect Brown eyeliner. It's easy to maneuver, but what really helps me as well is getting a mirror, a magnifying mirror, putting it under your nose basically, and gently get in the waterline. Hold on, I can't talk, 1 sec. So there we go. And as far as the top liner goes, I like to go in from the side of the pencil. I just want to focus from halfway, especially if you have smaller eyes like I do. I don't like to really line the whole top, but I wanted to show you a quick winged liner trick that I actually didn't think was gonna work, but it does. You want to put your eyeliner, the corner of your eyes, side of the nail, just gently wing it out. See? It's a simple thing. At least it maps out though where your actual wing liner goes. So for fake lashes, I've been using Velour's pre-glued lashes and applying them under my natural lash line. With all these years of experience with false lashes, I cannot believe I've never thought about this myself. And I use tweezers to grab them gently. It takes practice, but it really honestly takes away that messy look of that like glued line on and ruining your eyeshadow. It just looks so much more natural and it doesn't mess with the makeup. So I just apply right under and it sticks like magic. It was always like my pet peeve was to see those, like the glued line. Here's another tip, since I just got a little bit of that sticky thing on my tweezer. You just need to dip it in some loose powder, your tweezers that is, and it will no longer stick. So that when you apply your lashes, they don't come with your tweezer or come back with your tweezer. I also like to get a mirror under my nose or like where my chin is, and I don't have to use my fingers to lift up my eyeball or lift up my eyelid. See how natural they look? And my eyeshadow is still in place. And final step, of course, can't forget setting spray. I didn't get the hype at first until I did. This one is by Charlotte Tilbury. It's my ride or die. I close my eyes like so, mist generously, and just let it settle in, folks. And that's a wrap. Every single technique, maybe I'm missing a couple, but techniques I wish I knew sooner. So it's not about following, obviously, every rule. I have made all of these techniques my own, and there's no such thing as perfection, but I have found it has helped me so much, especially for my newfound passion, makeup. Let me know what works for you. If you have any techniques that I didn't mention, make sure you comment below, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you know what's coming next onto my channel. Love you guys. Bye.